welcome everybody who joined us. Thanks very much. I will go on the screen. On the call, we've got Adam Colley, FA affiliate tutor. Say hello, Adam.
Hello.
It's that one there. And then Mr. Rivers and his lovely
old school Man United.
Azif is an FA mentor and grassroots coach.
All right.
Jay Lovejoy, grassroots coach. Elliot, you're in the panel now. Welcome.
Well done,
He's there somewhere. You're in. And obviously, special guest joining us again as of last week, Mr. Emerson Boyce. Good evening, all.
Evening.
So, have a little debate about certain topics. Last week was Messi Ronaldo, where Ronaldo came out on top. Just Emerson had a little.
Messi, wasn't it?
Messi.
Did he come out on top, did he?
Ronaldo won, didn't he?
Yeah, Messi.
Messi won.
You started the same debate again.
Who cares? Right. But this week's Man United treble winners against Arsenal 2004 Invincibles. So pick those two out just because they're quite unique teams. And their achievements in both of their seasons were phenomenal and have not been matched since for both parties. But in terms of Man United, I'm going to start going to the guy wearing a Man United song. 1999. I know you're a bit of a casual fan. I know you are.
I'm a casual fan, yeah.
Yeah. But you remember 99, 21 years ago. What a season.
Yeah, great season. Some fantastic players, obviously, in that team. Some great characters. Can I start sharing my team yet or not?
No, not yet.
No.
He's eager.
I'm eager to get going. I know. That was a team that I did enjoy watching. I was familiar with the players. The formation was similar. The personnel didn't change a lot. But yeah, littered with internationals and as I said, big characters right through the units. And all sort of serial winners really.
Definitely. Jay, you were a young lad of that age. What was your record? I know you're not a United fan. Chelsea, by the way, if anyone's caring. What was your thoughts?
On that team, I remember watching the final, and because, as I say, yeah, like you say, I was young. I was probably must have been 7, I think. So, so for me, watching football was quite minimal. But I remember watching the final. We were all around my nan and granddad's, and the whole family were there, and it was like a massive thing. Even though we were all Chelsea fans, and my dad was a Liverpool fan, we're all there cheering on United. I remember my family going mad when United scored the goal. Just the fact it was an English team, which I thought was quite, and I don't think you get that much these days.
No.
Quite unique.
Of that season, I'll come to the other guys in a sec, but United obviously won the Premier League, the FA Cup, and the Champions League. They beat they won the Premier League on the final day of the season by 1 point, Adam, didn't they? Who finished second that year, mate?
Yeah, I'm not going to go into that one too much.
But it was a good team, Steve, wasn't it? The United 99 team.
It was all right.
Come on now. Come on, they're the first and only English team to win that. Lucky, come on. Emerson, did you suppose you were at Luton then, were you?
Yeah, I've been at Luton. I've just been breaking in there, going for the youth team ranks.
Ah.
So yeah, but as I say, you remember the final, last minutes, injury time, the winners. It's unbelievable how United came out for nothing and won the game. They had the tag at the time, scoring in the last minute, weren't they? So yeah. That's how they always used to be. So never say die attitude, and it shows that never give up.
Definitely, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Arsenal fans, but the last game they had to beat Spurs at home.
Yeah, and Spurs went 1-0 up.
Yeah, that's it. I remember Andy Cole did a little loopy.
Andy Cole looped it over Ian Walker that was like 1-1 just. I mean, I've been before half time. I remember watching it with 2 screens. I went to Hemel Hempstead and watched it at Jarman Park, and there was like loads of screens everywhere, and you could just watch both games going on. I think Arsenal played Villa, and we beat them, I think. But yeah, it was just the fact that then they went on to win it.
Yeah, quality. And to going on to Arsenal now. First and only time team have gone unbeaten in the Premier League in its era, and I think the only time since like 1889, which was the first ever Football League season. So an incredible achievement. 26 wins, 12 draws, and that was obviously part of the 49 match unbeaten run, which was ended by Rivo in October 2004. Man United, just in case.
A Rooney dive. A Rooney dive.
Emerson, going to you first. Did you sign for Palace just after that, or during that period?
Yeah, I went to Palace in 2004. So I would have played against most of the Arsenal players then, and what a team. They were fantastic. It's not much you can say about them that hasn't been said already. From the goalkeeper all the way to the strikers, Bergkamp, Henry, Perez, Lundberg, Vieira. And as an Arsenal fan myself, to play against him at Highbury was amazing, and they were a fantastic team.
What was Highbury like playing there?
For me, it was surreal. Obviously, I supported Arsenal, and to actually go there and actually play in that old style of stadium, going through the Marble Hall, and it was it was magic for me personally. It was magical. The result wasn't the best. Don't get me wrong, but to have that experience, and obviously not long after that, they moved out of Highbury into the Emirates, and it was completely different, the two stadiums. And for me, Highbury is magical. The old style stadium is always going to be magical.
Yeah. What's it like playing against the team that you supported?
As I say, it was surreal. In the tunnel, when you're looking around, when you go on the pitch originally, you shake their hands, etc., etc. And now you got to perform against basically the team that you support. But once the first goal goes in, the second goal goes in. about that.
Do you start cheering them on?
You start cheering them on. But no, it's for me, it was a dream come true to play at Highbury, play against Arsenal, play against Vieira, Henry, Bergkamp. For me, it was special.
Yeah, definitely. And Arsenal fans, they've not won it since.
That's the only disappointment I would say as an Arsenal fan, that it stopped. It stopped there, and that's when players started to go elsewhere, and that was like that's the only disappointing thing for me. But that period of time from 2001 to that 2005, I think, was the time where Arsenal were just unbelievable. The football they played was just surreal.
Do you think part of that was down to like the Abramovich?
Because that season afterwards, that's when Mourinho came in and Chelsea blew away, but we just couldn't compete. And then obviously the stadium, the Emirates, that deal took over, which definitely had the hands of Wenger tied. But fair play to the club for working out that situation. I think if we got a stadium like that now, I think we'd say yes, thank you very much. But it would have been nice to have continued a little bit of success. But
I think obviously that whole Man United and Arsenal era, from when Wenger took over, maybe just after, all the way through to 04-05, that was an incredible time. Elliot and Jay, you're the Chelsea fans, just literally about to go on to the thing, but then it was your time next, wasn't it? Buzzing of it, Elliot.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I know he's a bit miserable now, but those first two seasons as a Chelsea fan, when Mourinho came in, it sort of put us on the map. And I know a lot of Chelsea fans now don't particularly like him, but I'll always respect him for the way he just changed. He just took us to that next level, and people started to take notice. And I think that's carried on. Even though we've had a lot of instability over the last 10, 15 years, we've always had a way of finding a way to win. And I think that stemmed from him coming in. So I'll always be grateful for what he did.
Revolutionary.
Definitely. Enough about Chelsea. Right. Let's start, right, gents. So what we're going to go with, obviously, the goalkeepers first. Who wants to kick us off? Who's going in? With the two candidates are Schmeichel or Jens Lehmann. Who's going out first?
I went Schmeichel.
Are we talking career, or are we just talking that?
I'm talking that season. Let's talk that season.
Oh, that season.
Yeah. I've gone Schmeichel. So I've gone against the goalkeeper. But I just think Jens Lehmann was potentially not the weakest link, but for Arsenal, he wasn't. I don't think it would have made a difference if he wasn't in goal or not. Sometimes, and he did. You lose his head a little bit. Whereas Schmeichel and the impact he had in that campaign for United, I stuck him in.
Didn't lose for 17 months.
Jens
Lehmann.
Yeah,
you can't have a bad keeper.
It's some stats here. 26 goals Jens let in that
thing
season.
Always that thing with Jens where he could be brilliant, or he could just do something crazy and
he did a weird thing like on a goal kick. He put the ball down. He did like a weird like jump and click his feet together, and everybody used to go, "What are you doing?" It's just really fun. But yeah, Schmeichel. And for the penalty save for Bergkamp in that semi-final, I think that was the catalyst for them going on to win it, and then subsequently what happened after that. So.
And who else is going Schmeichel? It's a couple nods at the end.
Yeah, Schmeichel.
Yeah.
So I hope we got a layman.
Who's layman?
I think the presence.
Don't get me wrong. I think Peter Schmeichel is the best goalkeeper the Premier League's ever had. But you got if you're basing it on those 2 seasons, Jens Lehmann has to win it based on stats.
I'll get what Jay's saying, because like you're saying, Rick.
Yeah.
I think Arsenal conceded 26 goals.
26 goals, yeah.
And I think United in the league that season conceded 37.
Yeah.
Or something
That's right, good stats. Yeah.
So it's a massive difference, isn't it, in terms of the amount of goals they let in.
Goals against per 90 minutes as well. Jens had 0.7 and Schmeichel had 1. If you're going on stats. So Jay, I'm just going in for your corner there. Anyone changing their minds? Rivo, you changing your mind?
I don't think so. I'm going to stick with Schmeichel. I kind of looked at it. I looked at those players that I chose over a longer period rather than the 2 seasons. But I just think if I'm playing where Emerson used to play, let's say as a centre back, I would prefer Peter Schmeichel, that figure, the presence that he has, and also the fact that he played loads of different sports, those transferable skills, the shapes that he used to pull from handball, and the way that he was the focal point of the attacks. I think people forget that when we talk about a sort of direct style of play, he was actually quite direct. Corner comes in from the opposition, he claims it, and it's out to Giggs on the wing, and he starts the attacks that way. So yeah, just everything really, the communication, just that will to win, everything about him. I'd have to put him in there.
Just on that, Mark.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, just on that, it's interesting you said about that starting the attack, because obviously Kasper Schmeichel used to do that quite a bit when Leicester won the league as well, didn't they? That season.
Yeah, he was handball background as well. We had Andy Ritchie on yesterday talking about transferable skills from different sports, but Kasper and Peter, big at handball growing up. But they would really start the attacks off. And I think it's overlooked when we talk about direct, and Emerson's era in the Premier League and Pulis and people like that were renowned for like long ball, and got a bad rap really. But Man United were direct when they needed to be. And a lot of it started with him.
What a legend! And next week we've got a Premier League all time, and I'm sure a lot of people would say him for that as well. But Elliot, I'm gonna have to ask you real quickly: Schmeichel or Lehmann? Quickly.
Yeah, I'm going Schmeichel as well. Similar reasons. It's just if you were in a final or something, I think you'd rather have him in goal. Maybe
he's in.
I think Adam sort of said it. If you're basing it on that season, obviously Jens Lehmann has had an unbelievable season, but when you're playing for the team that are just wiping the board, it's hard to judge a keeper, isn't it? I think.
Now, we're moving on now. Turn that off so I can edit as we go. Going to the right back position now, and there's no better person to go to first than Mr. Boyce.
Yes, Boycey.
I thought you were saying me. I was a right back.
Emerson, right back. The 2 candidates obviously stand out: Gary Neville or Lauren.
I wanted to put Lauren in because I think he's a very, very good player. Obviously, he was a midfielder turned into a right back, and he put composure to the team. But I have to put Neville just purely because his career that he's had, how he played the game. He was a leader, gave everything, and he, people say Beckham made his career because he just kept giving Beckham the ball. But in the day, it's fair play to him. He had a longevity career, and he played really good, well that year.
Yeah, brilliant.
Who else is in the Neville camp? Most.
I think Neville's that kind of player who you'd hate to play against him.
Yeah,
like
consistency.
you could just imagine getting annoyed by him, but you'd love having him on your side.
Again, I think he'd be the best right back in the Premier League. In that, if you were to pick that, if you had Schmeichel and Neville, I think you'd be hard pushed to get somebody else to push him.
Go on, Jake. You can talk.
No, I was just going to say I haven't picked Neville or Lauren. I've gone with Irwin, and that's mainly for the fact that he can play there, the versatility, and I need Ashley Cole in the team.
Okay, so no, that's fine. We'll come on. We go on. Irwin, so he's versatile.
Yeah, and the attacking threat that he's got, his set pieces. I think he was kind of the first of an era of that kind of bombing forward fullback.
Great forward
with Irwin. So
even foot as well.
Pro as well.
Both feet, yeah. So.
But I think it's quite clear with Gary Neville there what Emerson says. In terms of going back to the Lauren thing though, he said obviously as you said he was converted. I think he was centre mid, wasn't he, or right mid at least. And then Wenger to move him there and to play a season and do what he did is incredible.
Yeah, he's like a ball playing fullback without the so-called speed, because obviously you're used to him going up and down. But what he's brought was composure. As soon as the ball came to him, he could lend it to his wingers and play up from the back. So so he showed how good he was.
That's quality, and I've just seen he didn't score any goals. Gary Neville scored a goal that season and 3 assists. I was watching the ITV are doing all this Euro '96 rewind. Don't know if you guys have caught it yet.
Yeah.
I watched England-Switzerland yesterday. I didn't watch it originally, long story, but I watched the first. I was coming back from Marbella on a family holiday, so I missed the game. Anyway, and Gary Neville was 19, 20 years old, I think, at that time, making his international. He's an incredible player. And then obviously the pundit he's turned into now as well. As I think he's the best on TV personally.
Yeah.
But there you go. That was nice and easy. Now I'm going to Emerson again because this is his forte.
Oh, centre back.
Centre backs as well. Who have you gone for? Let's go for a partnership. What have you gone for, Emerson?
I've gone for Stam and Campbell.
Same as.
I wanted Johnson. I thought Ronnie Johnson was, fantastic that year. Probably doesn't get the credit that he deserves because, Stam I think Stam came that summer and he literally, the player that he was, turned into, was a fantastic centre back. And Sol Campbell, I think he was a rock of Arsenal. He held them together really when the going gets tough. And that's my 2 partnerships, Stam and Campbell.
Not bad. Any different?
I went Colo Touré and Sol Campbell.
Go on then.
Just purely, I thought as a partnership, they just worked off each other well. Colo Touré, again, someone who'd been converted from, I think he was a centre midfielder or even a forward when he first joined, and that's where he sort of used to come off the bench and go and play.
Centre mid,
He's gone, no, I'm going to play centre back. And just his athleticism at times just allowed him to recover and get into positions, and just he might have made the odd mistake, but just his ability to recover and get back into position, I thought was just exceptional. And just with him and Sol Campbell, I thought together, when one of them wasn't there, it wasn't quite the same. I know Keown was obviously there, that was coming in to deputise.
Pascal Segan?
Yeah, maybe not.
Oh, that's a good argument there. Anyone else for Colo? Did you go Colo, Essie?
No, I think like Emerson said there, just for their presence and sort of the calmness that they brought to a team, Stam and Campbell, I think it's got to be.
Yeah.
Was Alex and Ferguson said that was one of his biggest mistakes is letting Stam go, wasn't it? I think a couple of years after this. Mm-hmm. And obviously recently a manager at Reading as well, so I've got a lot of time for him. Elliot, Jay, is that all right with you? Yeah, Stam and Campbell.
Yeah, Stam comes in, they win the treble. What more do you want from a centre back?
I'm tempted to go Colo Touré, the Arsene Wenger story. Have you heard of the story when he first started training? So I think they said to him he was a bit keen and he was flying in for tackles.
Yeah, I've heard it.
And the ball went near Wenger and he just went through him like double footed. And he said from that point on he was like, yeah, I'm gonna sign him because of his passion. So,
was it that summer as well? I think Yaya was on a trial, wasn't it?
He played against like Barnet or something in one of the friendly. I think that we always play against.
How wrong could he have been? Right, I'm going over to Jay Lovejoy. You got a left foot on you, left back.
Hardly.
I think you already alluded to it. Yeah.
Ashley Cole. Yeah. Obviously, I know we're basing it on that season, but he still had a great season. But again, his athleticism, his speed, his fitness, it was just phenomenal. I think he's one of the best left backs the Premier League's ever had, really. So,
has anyone gone Dennis Owen or Phil Neville or something else?
I don't think it's close.
I don't think it's close.
I always say on the courses I deliver that Phil Neville was one of the most underrated players in the Premier League, and I get pelters, absolutely.
This is your time to share.
I haven't put him in, but I do think Phil Neville gets a bad rap because he can play anywhere and do an amazing job at it. And for the longevity and the professionalism he always showed, I thought he's one of the most unsung heroes of the Premier League. However, I have gone Ashley Cole purely because of the combination play of that left-hand side and his, like I think Jay's already said, just one of the best left backs the Premier League's had.
Here's one for you.
Go on.
So that back four amassed 2,475 league appearances between them and 461 international caps. That back four of Neville, Campbell, Stan, Cole.
Look at that.
There you go.
Quick stat to get.
There you go. Not bad.
There you go.
Decent.
Is that what you've been doing? You've been putting your calculator on?
Correct. I've got them all.
I think just to add on Ashley Cole, he's probably the best one-on-one defender that's been around. No, hardly anyone ever got past him, and his recovery was fantastic. So plus he can get up and down the pitch.
Would you say?
Oh God.
I'm just going to say, would you say he was the best in the world at that time? I know sort of Maldini was just coming to the end, but just trying to think of somebody else who came near him.
I think so. As an out-and-out defender, because they say on a one-on-one, even if you get past him, you're so quick he can get back and tackle, and he's got the other side of it where he could attack. So it probably was one, around that time, especially in his prime, he was probably one of the best in the world, if not the best, in my opinion.
And also, 508 league appearances and 107 England caps. Come on,
Well done, John Watson over here. That's it.
That's
good stuff. I think going back to that one-on-one defending, what Emerson just said there, I remember Euro 2004, Ronaldo versus Ashley Cole.
Yeah.
Ashley Cole absolutely had him there, and I think they obviously that battle continued through the Premier League. But I think if Ronaldo looks back on his career when he does finish it, he'll definitely say he's one of his hardest players. Right, onto the good debate, and I think this one will take probably the longest. Midfield. We're going to start off with Asif this time. Who did you have on the right-hand side of your four midfield there, Asif?
There's only one.
It's got to be, isn't it? It's got to be Beck.
Yeah. Tell us why, Asif.
I think just if you compare it to the Arsenal, we had Lundberg there, who did a great job. But I think a lot of Arsenal's play around that time was down that left-hand side. Whereas obviously David Beckham, you've got one of the best crossers in the ball, or off the ball. Amazing career. And just for him to get through, because there was a lot of stuff between him and Sir Alex Ferguson, wasn't there, around sort of character and other things, but he managed to come through all that.
Let's not forget, that was just a year. Well, that was the following season after the World Cup where he got sent off, and not long after he
burning effigies hanging up and stuff, and all that.
So started down at a posh spot and that whole thing. Yeah, but what a player! So in that season he scored 6 in the Premier League alone and assisted 10, which is incredible. Who else went Becks?
Yeah.
Adam Colley, I'm coming to you.
I changed mine but I didn't have Becks in, and I love David Beckham. He's like on my Instagram and everything. My missus thinks I'm weird. But I had Gilberto in there, but not like I went like a 4-3-3. But then I changed it and I went Freddie Ljungberg just purely for what he gave to Arsenal, just purely from what he added to the team. and there was just the combination him and Dennis Bergkamp used to have was just phenomenal.
Big time player, big game player as well. Freddie Lundberg was.
Yeah.
Europe.
Yeah.
So just to mix up a little bit, but obviously I'm going to be shot down.
I think Bex is in. Did you ever play against Bex, Emerson?
I think he left just the year I came into the Prem. I think he just left. Yeah, but obviously what a fantastic player. I wanted to put Perez, or I wanted to switch Perez over to that side. I wanted to, but I think Bex has to stay in it.
Right. Okay. Let's move on to that. Let's go straight to the left, and then we'll come to the probably the biggest debate of them all to the end. Who did you have on the left then, Emerson?
It's only one person who's totally destroyed me for. I remember it now. Ryan Giggs.
Yes.
What a player. As I say, here's my first out and out test, and he actually destroyed me. I'd hold my hands up, put no shame in it whatsoever. Got so bad the manager even gave me 2 days off. I remember Ian Barry said, "Boys, you just have an extra day off."
Is that because your neck was sore? Just couldn't keep doing inside.
I think I have to try and find my confidence from somewhere.
What was he like playing against? Obviously, he had a lot with the pace and.
The year I played against him, my first at Palace, he was going for his contract. This is when they were saying that it was getting old and he's gone past it, etc. And he had a point to prove. And luckily for me, he decided to prove against me. In theory, I helped him with his contracts. He was a well beater that day.
You should be on royalties.
But what a fantastic player. Done it till he's 40.
Yeah.
So, and he's still influencing the game. So that shows you how much of an influence and a talent he was.
Incredible. Rivo, Giggsy on the left for you.
Yeah, 100%. Do you know what's interesting though? And it's one of my stats again, but it's well documented anyway. But 672 league appearances and only 64 for Wales. When you look at what the other players in the squad would have amassed at that time, it's real sort of disproportionate. And that's the only thing really when you look at. I suppose not on this, but a Gareth Bale who seems so committed to his country. You just wish that he was more so. But yeah, 672, and he just went on and on and on, didn't he? And I think he sort of fitted in with the new regime. He completely changed his diet. He was into yoga, and I think he put yoga videos out and all sorts. An inspiration.
That was his hamstrings just kept giving way, so he had to do something, didn't he?
Yeah. But it's funny, Beckham on the other side. I remember going to Old Trafford. I think I took my son with me. And I don't know if you know Old Trafford. You guys have been there since obviously played there. But where you walk in, they put the barriers up. And the players have a choice of someone driving them down to the doors and then getting out and going back. So bypass the fans. Or they can park their own car at the top and walk down. And you've got all the fans there waiting for autographs. Giggs was one that got his driver to send him down. But Beckham just walked up and down and up and down for about what seemed about half an hour before. And I don't know if you can see, he signed an England shirt for me. I don't know if you can see it in there. But the guy was incredible. And I know they talk about Cantona. I think he got that from Cantona. He would stay and sign and sign and sign. But when you had someone at the top of their game who was that humble and was all about the fans and giving back, absolutely brilliant. But I went for Beckham right side and Giggs left side.
Who's in the Pires corner? Anyone? This is interesting. Go on, Jay. You go first.
You might want to ask an Arsenal fan, but I just think if you're basing it on those 2 seasons. Ryan Giggs didn't have much influence. And I think, as if alluded to it earlier, saying that the majority of the attacks were down the left-hand side. And then, like he says, a lot of it was through Perez. And the assists and his goal stats, I can't remember them off the top of my head.
14 and 7.
Oh,
wow.
There you go.
Goals, No, 14 and 10. Apologies.
14 and 10. That's 24. 24 from Perez from midfield. So, for me, he's in there.
And a unique running style, wasn't it? He just seemed to just glide, hover.
10 to 2 as well. People always 10 to 2.
Yeah.
Go on, Steve. Talk
Yeah,
Perez.
I think Jay's just he said it all there. I think in terms of what he gave to that team, goals, assists, and just watching, that left side, him, Cole, Henry, especially like some of the counter attacks, it was just so quick and crisp,
Mm.
So yeah,
Adam?
Giggs, I suppose for his
Sorry.
longevity, but Giggs the longevity, but for that season, I'd say Perez.
Yeah.
Really good point. Ads?
Yeah, just purely because of the combination that not just him and Henry had, but with Ashley Cole as well. They just, that was just where everything came from, and they just complemented each other so well. And he'd come back from a bad injury, because when we won it in 2002, he got injured in like the March time. And I think he was one of the reasons why we had such a good run in that season, and we missed him towards the end. And so for him to come back and have that's the season that he did, and just watching the stuff, just been watching it back again the last couple of days. I've had it on Sky. It's just incredible what the pairing and the three of them did down that side. But yeah, definitely Perez for his goals and assists.
Right, that's 3-2 Perez. Let's come to Elliot.
Yeah, I think they're both quality players. I personally would prefer Perez. Just that he's my type of player. I know Giggs was phenomenal, like the way he played. He used to jink in and out of players, but like you said, Perez just had that sort of maverick, and he just did things that you're just like, wow, how has he seen that? And it's just, I don't know. They're different styles, I guess, but just to pretend depends on what you like to watch. I prefer Perez.
Emerson, thanks, Elliot. Emerson, did you play against Perez?
Yeah, I would have played against him. Yeah, I'd have been in right back at the time as well. So I was directly against him. But it's more about his movement. He wasn't an out-and-out winger. He used to come in off the line. Ashley Cole used to make the runs down the line. Henry was on that side as well. And his creative skill and obviously his ball carrying was, everyone can see how good he was. And as I say, he was a major influence on Arsenal in that season.
No, definitely. Just going to Adam and Emerson and the Steve. Do you think that Wenger let him go too early? Because there's the whole thing about that 2-year contract.
Potentially. So he went to Valencia, didn't he? Oh no, was it Valencia?
Villarreal, I think.
Villarreal, that's it.
Villarreal.
But
was it an age thing?
It was the fact they only gave 1-year contracts after they were 30, wasn't it? And he was like, I want a bit more of a guarantee on my future, which happened to. I think Bergkamp was the only one they might have given an extra deal to, but everybody else, it just got to a point where it was like, no, you're over 30, you get 1 year, and that's it.
It's crazy because in the Champions League final, he didn't play, did he?
Or did he get substituted?
He come off.
Yeah, because Lehman
got... for Lehman.
Yeah.
Jay's number one. Right.
I knew I'd be shot down, but you got to throw it in there.
Right, Perez is in. Now, centre mids, we've got to find a combination between Scholes, but Keane, Gilberto, Vieira, and Edu, who did make a higher number of appearances.
He was awesome for the player that he was. But I didn't pick him.
Right, let's start off with Mr. Rivers, centre midfield maestro in his day.
George, so you want a pairing?
Yeah.
Keane and Vieira.
Go on.
Yeah, no, just again, both sort of serial winners, powerhouses in there. What else can you say? Yeah, ironically, they had that rivalry, didn't they, throughout their time together as well? But I suppose based on hypothetics, I would really love to have just seen them play together. So it's kind of just based on that, really. There's some other good players in there. You could have had all sorts of combinations, but for me, I would have loved to have seen them both play together. Yeah.
Cool. Anyone else have Keane and Vieira?
Yeah, Keane and Vieira.
Yes.
Jay's shaking his head.
No, purely because they're the heartbeats of the team. Both of them box-to-box players.
Yeah.
When Keane was, a bit younger, he was a box-to-box player, and Vieira is exactly the same. Both love a tackle. When the going gets tough, they step up, get important goals, and they drive their team forward. So for me, Keane and Vieira have to be there. And sorry enough to have Scholes in there, because Scholes is a fantastic player. Technically, probably the best player I've seen with the ball. you know, in that centre midfield.
Well, there's a famous quote by Zidane, isn't there, about Scholes? I can't remember it off the top of my head. If anyone remembers it, let me know. No one does. Brilliant. And
Xavi and Iniesta said something similar about him. I think, as
I
well.
think they said he's best player in Europe or something.
I think
It's just his mind, you know.
That's why he should be in the team alongside Vieira.
Yeah,
Go on,
I'd
Everton.
have Scholes and Vieira personally.
Yeah.
Best
Just for balance.
What you saying, Everton, about Scholes then? Sorry.
The best thing about Scholes was he was a step ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
And you know, he made the game look so easy. And bearing in mind he had asthma, he didn't really get around the pitch as well as everybody else. His brain was so quick, you know, he just made the game look so easy and no one could ever get near him. But I still put Keane and Vieira in there.
I think you have to. If you look at the Roy Keane sometimes dragged that United team up. He demanded so much of them. I don't personally like him that much as an individual. I think he's miserable and moody, and sometimes think he puts it on that. But the effect he had on the rest of the people around him when they just maybe weren't at it, he would give them one and just drag them up. Yeah. And I think with Vieira, just the influence he had on everybody. So the two of them, purely because of what they did to the rest of the team and just brought them up with them.
I think also this is where formations are sort of dictate stuff as well.
Yeah.
So in a 4-4-2, I know England at the time had the same problem, didn't they? With Scholes, Lampard, and Gerrard,
so
and
rigid.
Trying to fit. Yeah. So I suppose in a 4-4-2, yeah, you want to sort of like the guys have alluded to before, two sort of generals in there, don't you?
Yeah. Let's just after that debate then. I know I was just because both teams predominantly played a 4-4-2 as it was anyway. That's why I stuck with 4-4-2. But if you were playing a 4-3-3, Keenan Vieira and another, would that be Scholes?
Ray Parlour.
Romford Pele.
The World Cup. Yeah, I would have put Scholes in there as a free. I would have Scholes in there probably.
Yeah. Jay, you picked Scholes, I think, didn't you? Haven't you too?
I did, yeah. Scholes and Vieira again, like as Elliot said, because of the balance, really, rather than having two hot-headed hard nuts in there. I went with Scholes.
And the pace of the game, though, if you watch those games back at that time, there was the one when Arsenal beat United at Old Trafford to win in 0-2, but the pace of the game was unbelievable. I couldn't, like the first 25 minutes, I think Phil Neville, Scholes and Keane could have all been sent off. But it was just, it was just to watch it back, it was just, this is amazing. And it makes me think now that football nowadays, maybe it's slow. That was just rapid when those two teams at their pomp. So good.
Elliot?
Yeah, I'd go Scholes and Vieira as well. Just for the balance. I just think, like, I think Vieira and Keane are those sort of players where if you had them in the same team, I don't think it would work. Because I think they want to be that leader. So I think having one of those, and then you've got your player like Scholes that can just pass the ball anywhere. And I think, imagine Scholes playing it into Henry, over in behind to Henry.
I remember when Scholes came through, and he started his especially I remember him starting off with Ian Wright and Le Tournois. Like he started off as a striker, didn't he, or just off the front. And then towards the end of his career, when Ferguson brought him back to win the league, which it worked, he was literally just sat in front of the defence, wasn't he? He was such a clever player, and but he's not in.
They did, didn't they? For one season or a couple of seasons, he'd always play him up top because I think he needed Scholes in, but he couldn't fit. He didn't know where to play him sometimes, so he would play the number 10. So he could do it all.
The player most spoke about throughout this whole thing, and yet he's not in.
I know. Sorry, I had Scholes. Scholes in mine. Liam says, Zidane says he's almost untouchable in what he does. I never tired of watching him play. You rarely come across a complete footballer, but Scholes is close as it gets. One of my regrets is I never had the opportunity to play alongside him. And Vieira and Keane in the same team would have the same problem as Lampard and Gerrard. And I think Elliot made that point a minute ago. But hey, we're not playing a game. We are just admiring what we did. I think it's a really good point, Liam. Mate.
Who would you give as captain?
It's a great question. Who's going to take that?
Thierry Henry.
Schmeichel.
I mean, do you mean Keane and Vieira?
Keane and Vieira. You got to tell the other one they're not going to be captain as well.
Keane captain for me.
Put him in a ring, find out.
I'd go Vieira.
I'm going to go Vieira, just purely because I'm Arsenal.
I'll go Keane.
What would you say, Emerson?
I'll go Vieira, just purely because of the Arsenal side.
Elliot?
Yeah, I think as a leader you'd probably say Keane.
That's very free. I'm picking Vieira. Right. Mate, what a player Vieira was. Last kick of an Arsenal shirt was winning the FA Cup, right, guys?
Yeah. That penalty.
What I would say is, Vieira was at St George's before lockdown with his who's his team in France?
Kane, something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, but just 6'4", just such a presence, and he just had this aura around him. And it was funny because you had he was training there with his team. We were training with our group, but there was another course on as well, an AYA course or something like that, and everyone was kind of trying to act cool around him. And then by the end of the night in the bar, all the selfies would go in and people were asking him to come outside for photos. But he was just a presence. And I watched him. He joined in the rondos with his team and the players couldn't get near him. You know, this is the manager in a rondo, but they just couldn't get near him. But yeah, what a presence. So imagine like an Emerson lining up against him in the tunnel. You know, you kind of beat him before a ball's kicked.
That's like exactly the presence that he had on the pitch and as well as the tunnel. So, he was a big guy, but do you know what? To be fair to him, he was a humble guy as well. Be fair to him.
Yeah.
But there's our team so far then. Very heavily split right for United. Left, obviously, Keane and Vieira can play either side, but good little combinations there. We'll leave that off to the final part. Now we're coming on to the forwards.
Oh.
I mean, this is another good one. I think let's go to Asif first.
Oh,
come on, mate.
Are we talking a pairing, or are we just talking?
Go for the first one. Just pick one first. I think there's an obvious one.
I think, the obvious one. I personally think best player in the Premier League ever. Thierry Henry. Like just watching some of the stuff recently that he used to do, and he'd just be. I don't know. He was like he was just playing with his mates. The stuff he would try and pull off. And I remember once him knocking the ball past. I think it was Jamie Carragher, and he ran off the pitch around him, came back on the pitch. And he used to do stuff like that for fun. And I think he's the best player the Premier League's seen. So he's got to be in there. I think 30 odd goals, was it? 30
in 37 games.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, Emerson, you must have come against Thierry before he left these shores.
Yeah, I've got a picture up there with him. I got before he went to Barcelona. I got his last Arsenal shirt at the Emirates. So
he's
nice. A bit of a
Wow.
But no, as a
player, Wigan, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was at Wigan. Yeah, as a player, he was fantastic. His dribbling ability, again, another tall guy, and we've got to remember how he first started off. Come on as a winger.
Yeah,
I think he had an unsuccessful spell in Italy. I think his confidence was low, and Wenger obviously turned him around to be a striker and scoring ability. He had everything, and he played with a smile. Not many people do that nowadays. Made the game look so easy and so fun. So for me, Henry has to be in there as well.
I remember there was a game that season. I think Arsenal were 2-0 down against Liverpool. It was a Good Friday.
Yeah.
There's a goal he just runs through the whole Liverpool team, puts Carragher down on his backside. Did he score a hat-trick that game?
Yeah. I think he come on as a sub.
The next game,
I think we got knocked out of the 2 cup competitions.
Yeah.
And he was on the bench. And he come on as a sub. I think that.
No, he started.
Did he start that one?
Yeah, he started because I think he might have set up Perez, who scored the goal just before to make it 2-1 before half time. I think. Or equalised. What it was.
Different season, but that against United, not long into his Arsenal career, where he's edge of the box, flipped it up. Whatever, Barthez, I think. But there's not much more to say about Henry, but he was actually my favourite player growing up. I absolutely loved him. Obviously, played a little bit like him. But
I'm the same. As an Arsenal fan, I went from adoring Ian Wright and thinking there was nothing else better than Ian Wright. He was like, as I was growing up, he was the man. But then Henry just took it to another level. There's just so much. I think Andy Gray said once, he scored against Leeds, and he goes, I've seen a lot of things in this league. I ain't seen anything like him. And that just sort of stuck because he just was, just the amount of goals he scores. There's one against Man City where he's hitting, it's just gone dead straight as an arrow, top corner against David Cameron. Just
go on the Bernabeu as well.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to go and watch some. As soon as we finish this, I'm going to go and watch as much Arsenal as I can.
Right, Henry's in. Last place
definitely.
then. Who's playing alongside him? Let's go to Jay Lovejoy.
I've gone. At first, I had Bergkamp in there, but just looking back through again some of the stats, obviously sometimes they're quite reliable. I've gone with Dwight York.
Go on.
Wow.
Love it. Go
on. Again, I don't have them to hand. I deleted all the photos.
I've got him here. So he's got 33 games in the Premier League. He started all 33. 18 goals, 11 assists.
Yeah.
Good
so
stats.
Involved in 29 goals in 33 games. Mm-hmm. And the striker that can play every single game. Phenomenal.
Good goal scoring record, as you alluded to. Did anyone else go Yorkie?
I was thinking, for the goals. Obviously, he was their top scorer, and he played quite consistently. I know, sort of around that time, Sir Alex Ferguson used to like having 4 strikers, and he'd sort of rotate them around. But he was quite.
He was there present, and I think they've obviously just going there. What about? Did anyone go for? I know a lot of people did. Did anyone go for Solskjaer or Andy Cole?
No.
Everyone went Dennis, yeah.
I'm in the
Dennis and Henry, icon.
Yeah, me too.
What did you say, Alex? Sorry, I missed that.
I said I'm in the Bergkamp.
So
he's the best to watch. He's the best to watch.
I was close to going Sylvain Wiltord. Again, Sylvain Wiltord for a period, but that season I don't think he was quite on it. It was the 2 prior.
It was his last season, wasn't it? Yeah. Not Carney, no. What a player he was, by the way. But go on, and Dennis Rivo, you nod your head.
Yeah, no, it's. I wish so. The most annoying thing about being a football coach, in my opinion, is you kind of lose touch with the game because, you think about your first experience of watching football. You watch the ball, so wherever the ball goes, you're sort of like that, almost like a tennis match. Then when you get involved in coaching, I end up anyway. If it's a goal kick, I'm looking at what the strikers are doing, or how they've split across the box, or what the centre back's doing. What's the centre midfield doing? What's the rotation like? My point is, I would love to have gone to watch someone like Bergkamp in his prime live, but away from the ball, because it's what people say about his movement, how sort of intricate it was. How similar to sort of Scholes and those top players that just buy extra yards just by the movement in their heads. And just for that reason, really, I'd love to have watched him live.
Going to the Arsenal fans, Azif, Dennis Bergkamp. I think we should all read great job player. Is he a close second, in your opinion?
I'd say, like Mike said, just the stuff that he used to do. That Newcastle goal. The little flick round and.
Wow.
Yeah, just to have the vision, the guts to do that on the football pitch. And he used to do loads of little touches, that you just think, wow.
A bit of a nasty streak to him, though. Not that season. Didn't have any red cards. In fact, just looking through this whole team, only 3 red cards. Sorry, it's not as good.
I think it was beginning of the season. They started off and there was we had poor discipline at that beginning of that campaign.
Dennis Bergkamp. I've seen. I was watching England-Holland again at that part of that Euro '96 thing recently, and the best moment for me in that game, and I love that game. It's my favourite England game as a fan. That England 4-1 against Holland.
Yeah.
But the best part of the game is, if you remember the Holland goal, Bergkamp just puts his ball out of mid-air
Yes.
He just plays Clive in to score and actually knocked out Scotland and they went through. But anyway, like he was such a good player. And 2 years later, World Cup '98. Do you remember that against Argentina?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phenomenal
Goal. Yeah.
And did it against Leicester for the hat trick. Like I know that's not the season, but what a player. Elliot, you fancy a bit of Burke? I know you play out wide, don't you?
He's my type of player. He's just when you see a lot of people arguing about what is technique, and if you're not sure how to describe it, just turn to watch Bergkamp, because that's technique. Every touch he takes, there's a purpose to it. You know, sometimes players will do a few tricks, and every touch he takes is for a reason, whether it's to eliminate a player or just buy himself that yard, and then he knows where his next touch is going. So when you talk about first touch, to me, that's technique. He's not just doing it to make it look good. Everything he does is for a reason. And if you got him feeding Henri, I mean, what a better combination.
Yeah. Emerson, do you think I know, and it was a genuine problem around like the fear of flying of him. Do you think Arsenal would have won more European titles had he been able to play?
Maybe. He did a lot of travelling, didn't he? You know, by road and by train, etc., etc. Maybe, you know, it was one of the questions. You know, whoever knows. But for me, if you're a young player and you want to look and watch an older player play, go and watch Bergkamp. It's not so much about, you know, his finishing; it's about his intelligence. Yeah. You know, the way that he gets his extra yard. His head's always on the move, knowing where the next pass is going to go. Always looking for that extra yard of space, and he always plays on the half turn. You know, as a centre back, when I played against him, you didn't know whether to go tight to him, or if you're going tight to him, he'll go around you quickly because he's so intelligent, so quick thinking. And if you stand up to him, he'll turn and play those little balls onto the reef. For me, not technically fantastic, but intelligent, and he's a great finisher, which as well is a great player.
Yeah, did it all. I think just a special mentions if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that season. He'd Premier League games 9 starts, 12 goals. So it's the stats, but it's not all about the stats, as Jay found out with Dwight York. The only one there. We've got our team though, which is bang on 9 o'clock, which is fantastic.
It is a shame. Cole and York had an awesome combo that season. The amount of times I used to play that one where the first one would just miss it, dummy it, and the second one would flick it around the corner.
Yeah,
I loved that. There's a couple of times Champions League against Barcelona off the top of my head. That was quite genius. But here, look, chaps, is our team, I think. That's your team that you picked, and as you'll see there, this is the whole
Arsenal 1, 2, 3.
Arsenal dominated.
Arsenal 6, Man United 5. And I know Liam's joined us here. And hello, Liam, by the way. He says, as a Spurs fan, used to hate Henri purely because he made us look like amateurs every time he ran at us. There's that unbelievable goal in the derby, isn't there, where he's run from his own half again, probably. But there's a team.
Made a statue of it.
There's a team. Would you be happy with that as manager, Emerson?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's got the right. I know people say about Keane and Vieira couldn't play together, but if you're a world-class player, you can play with anyone. And I think them two will dominate that midfield, and the rest of the players speaks for itself.
Yeah, I think just a question as well I was going to ask, and who'd be the manager out of Ferguson and Wenger then?
With that many characters, I'd have to say Ferguson.
Yeah, I think
Wenger.
So why Wenger?
Because I'm an Arsenal man. I can't get that again. But what? Just that is a real tough one. But yeah, just because of Arsenal, nothing else.
Jay?
Fergie, his man management of a team like that, that'd get them over the line.
Yeah, I would. If it was me personally, I would say Fergie. Emerson, what would you say?
As much as I don't want to say it, it'll be for me Ferguson. Yeah. Practically, Ferguson would know how to change a game. Wenger, to a extent, was always in the same sort of mould, and I think Ferguson knows how to win games and get the best out of players.
No, you can't argue with that. Rivo?
Yeah, Ferguson. Just because, leadership skills, man management, but also he has that sort of cluster of coaches, doesn't he? Number 2s, the tactical geniuses with him. So I think he'd get him through, get him over the line.
And I said we've got the Premier League all time next week, and I think a lot of these players will probably feature again, to be honest, because both of those teams are just exceptional. And to watch that has been pleasant this evening as well. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you've enjoyed it.